Most men don't realize how much their life's energy depends on something invisible. Not the mind, not the muscles, but the silent rivers beneath their skin. Every heartbeat sends waves through those channels carrying oxygen, nutrients, and vitality to every cell. Yet as the years pass, those rivers begin to narrow. Not suddenly, but quietly, so quietly that few notice until the symptoms creep in. You start waking up tired even after a full night's sleep. Your hands and feet feel colder than before. Climbing a few steps leaves you slightly breathless. And perhaps the most unsettling sign moments that once brought passion or confidence now feel duller, weaker. Most men think it's just age. But age is only part of the story. The real culprit hides within those narrowing passages, the blood vessels that have grown stiff, clogged, or weakened after years of silent wear. It's easy to underestimate this problem. After all, you can't see your arteries or veins. They don't hurt when they start to harden. But when they lose their flexibility, everything else suffers. Energy drops. Blood pressure rises. And the body's most intimate systems begin to falter. What once felt effortless now feels like work. In the quiet world inside your chest, blood is meant to flow like a river, steady, strong, and smooth. When that flow is interrupted, the consequences ripple through every organ. The heart pumps harder to force blood through blocked channels. The brain, receiving less oxygen, loses sharpness. Even the smallest capillaries in the skin and muscles begin to starve. The truth is, your circulatory system is your life's infrastructure, the foundation of energy, focus, and vitality. Yet modern habits constantly challenge it. Processed foods, high stress, sitting for long hours, alcohol, and poor sleep all slowly corrode those internal highways. If you could see inside your veins, you might be shocked. Over time, plaque begins to build like rust in a water pipe. It narrows the passageways, roughens their walls, and turns a once smooth channel into a jagged tunnel that catches everything passing through: cholesterol, fat, calcium. Slowly, it chokes your body from the inside out. But here's the part most people never hear. Your body isn't helpless. Nature built in a remarkable capacity for self-repair, if you give it the right tools. Some of those tools are not found in a pill bottle, but in the produce aisle. Science now shows that specific fruits contain compounds that don't just feed you, they heal you. They help blood vessels relax, clear out small clogs before they become dangerous, and even reverse years of gradual damage. They don't just support circulation, they restore it. And when circulation improves, everything improves. The body wakes up, the mind sharpens, energy feels lighter, freer. Even intimacy, the kind that depends on strong, healthy blood flow, returns to life. Think of it this way: your veins and arteries are not just tubes. They are living, breathing tissues that respond to what you eat, how you move, and even how you think. Every bite, every heartbeat, every breath shapes their condition. It's easy to believe that only medicine can fix circulation, but history tells a different story. Ancient civilizations from Greece to Persia, from China to India, used fruits and herbs to cleanse the blood, strengthen the heart, and restore vitality. They didn't know the word nitric oxide or polyphenol, but they knew the effects: warmth returning to the hands, strength to the limbs, lightness to the spirit. Modern science now confirms what ancient healers only sensed. Inside certain fruits are natural chemicals that act as vascular guardians. They widen the arteries, protect vessel walls from damage, and dissolve the microscopic plaques that silently steal vitality. It may sound too simple, almost poetic, that something as ordinary as a fruit could heal something as serious as poor circulation. But sometimes the simplest answers are the truest ones. Nature doesn't work with shock or speed. It works with patience and precision. And when you give it time, the results can be extraordinary. So, before diving into the list of these 7 remarkable fruits, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly felt the strength of your own blood flow? The warmth in your hands after a long walk, the steady pulse of your heart when you're calm, the energy that makes you feel fully alive? Because that feeling, the quiet hum of life within you, is what circulation really is. It's not just blood moving, it's vitality flowing. And today, you'll see how nature designed the perfect tools to keep that flow alive. Some of them are familiar. Some you might overlook. But together, they have the power to unclog the hidden rivers that sustain your strength, your energy, and even your desire for life itself. It begins, as all healing journeys do, with awareness. And from there, with something as simple, as beautiful as the right fruit on your plate. Inside every body lies a vast and intricate network, a map more complex than any city, more essential than any machine. These are the arteries and veins, the invisible highways that carry the river of life. If you could shrink yourself and travel through your own circulatory system, you would enter a glowing red world, tunnels pulsing rhythmically, carrying blood cells like millions of travelers on an endless journey. Your heart, the engine at the center of it all, beats more than 100,000 times a day. With each contraction, it sends blood surging through more than 60,000 miles of vessels, enough to circle the earth twice. This is the miracle most men never think about, the constant hum of survival within their chest. Yet over the years, those highways begin to change. Every poor meal, every cigarette, every night of restless sleep adds another invisible layer of stress to those arteries. Tiny inflammations appear. Microscopic cracks form in vessel walls. The body rushes to repair them with cholesterol and calcium, protective at first, but over time those repairs harden into obstacles. Like silt building up in a riverbed, they narrow the flow. At first you don't notice. Your blood still moves, just slower. But the signs are there: fatigue, heavy legs, headaches after minimal exertion. These are not random inconveniences. They are messages from your body, signals that the invisible highways are losing their flexibility. Healthy arteries are like supple branches, able to expand and contract with every pulse. When they stiffen, the heart must push harder, straining with each beat. Blood pressure climbs and oxygen struggles to reach distant corners of the body. Imagine a city where every street is narrowing. Deliveries are late, power flickers, and waste builds up. That's what happens inside when circulation begins to falter. The body, once efficient and vibrant, becomes sluggish. Muscles lose endurance, the brain tires faster, even memory and mood begin to dim. It's not aging, it's starvation at a cellular level. But there's more to this than biology. The quality of your circulation mirrors the quality of your life. When blood flows freely, so does everything else: your thoughts, your emotions, your energy. When it stagnates, you feel it in ways that science can't always measure. You lose the spark that makes you feel alive. Doctors often speak of circulation in technical terms: systolic pressure, vascular elasticity, endothelial function. But step back, and you see a simpler truth. Circulation is connection. It's how the heart speaks to the skin, how the lungs whisper to the brain, how life moves between every organ. Ancient healers understood this connection intuitively. In traditional Chinese medicine, they called it qi, the vital energy that moves through invisible pathways, much like blood through veins. In Ayurveda, the life force was prana, flowing through channels that nourish body and spirit alike. Long before microscopes or medical journals, people knew: when flow is blocked, illness begins. The modern world, however, has made stillness our default. We sit for hours, we stare at screens, and we eat food that slows the body down. Our rivers have become stagnant, and the result? A global epidemic of circulatory problems, heart disease, high blood pressure, strokes, not because the human body is weak, but because we've forgotten how to feed it what it truly needs. The beauty of this truth is that it's reversible. Your blood vessels are not made of stone. They are living tissues. They respond to what you give them, both harm and healing. Feed them trans fats, and they stiffen. Feed them antioxidants and nitrates, and they soften, expand, repair. Within weeks, studies show, the body can begin to restore its flow. You might imagine that kind of healing requires advanced medicine. Sometimes it does. But nature's pharmacy has been available long before science learned to name its chemicals. Hidden inside the colors of fruits, the deep red of pomegranate, the violet of grapes, the orange of citrus, are molecules that act as silent repairmen. They dissolve microclots, reduce inflammation, and encourage the production of nitric oxide, a gas that signals vessels to relax. It's as if nature designed these colors not just to attract our eyes, but to guide our health. Every hue, every pigment, every taste carries a different medicine. The sweetness of a watermelon hides a compound that widens arteries. The tartness of a kiwi holds the power to lower blood pressure. The bitterness of a grapefruit cleanses and protects. When you look at your diet through this lens, food stops being just fuel. It becomes architecture, the building material of your inner highways. Each choice you make at the table is a brick, a bridge, a repair. It's humbling to realize how deeply the body depends on these tiny acts. Something as simple as an orange in the morning or a handful of berries in the afternoon can shift the chemistry of your blood within hours. The vessels respond, the heart works less, and the current flows stronger. If you've ever felt your pulse after a brisk walk, that rhythmic thrum beneath your skin, that's life reminding you of its presence. It's proof that you're more than just flesh and bone. You are motion, you are flow. So before we explore the fruits that science now calls vascular healers, remember this. Circulation is not just a medical function. It's the rhythm of existence itself. And learning to care for it, naturally, daily, deliberately, is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect. Your veins are waiting, your arteries are listening. And their repair begins not with a pill, but with something that has always been within your reach. Nature's own medicine, disguised as fruit. Medicine can save a life, but food sustains it. Every day, what you put into your body quietly decides the direction of your health. Pills can manage symptoms, but food speaks directly to your cells. It doesn't just mask the problem, it rewires it. The story of circulation is one of nourishment and neglect. For centuries, people understood that what they ate determined not just their strength, but their longevity. They lived by rhythms of harvest and seasons, instinctively consuming what nature provided at the right time. Fruits rich in color and scent weren't luxuries. They were lifelines. Then, industrial food changed everything. Sugars multiplied. Oils were stripped of nutrients. Preservatives replaced freshness. Our blood, once vibrant, became thick with what the body couldn't process. The consequences didn't come overnight. They came quietly, in the form of fatigue, weight gain, numb fingers, restless nights, fading focus. And eventually, something worse. Arteries that no longer flexed, hearts that struggled to keep up. Here's what modern science now confirms. Your blood vessels are living tissue, and they crave specific nutrients to stay young. When they don't receive them, they harden. But when you feed them what they need, antioxidants, polyphenols, nitrates, fiber, they heal. The vessel walls relax, plaques soften. Blood flows freely again. It's the difference between a clogged city and one with open highways. Medicine can send police cars to manage the traffic, but only nutrition can rebuild the roads. Doctors prescribe medications to thin blood or lower pressure, and in emergencies, those can be life-saving. But imagine if your body didn't need constant external control. Imagine if it could regulate itself the way it was designed to, simply by being nourished properly. That's what the right fruits can do, not a miracle, but a restoration of the body's natural intelligence. Take polyphenols, for example. These are powerful plant compounds found in fruits like pomegranates, berries, and grapes. They're not just antioxidants, they're communicators. They talk to your endothelium, the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, and instruct it to produce nitric oxide, the molecule that tells your arteries to relax and widen. That means lower blood pressure, better oxygen delivery, and more energy throughout the day. Or flavonoids, found in citrus fruits, apples, and dark grapes. They protect vessel walls from oxidative damage, much like an invisible shield. Think of oxidation as rust forming on metal. Flavonoids keep your arteries from rusting over time. Then there's soluble fiber, abundant in apples and other fruits, which binds to cholesterol in your gut and helps flush it out before it can stick to your arteries. These are not small effects. They are cumulative, building day by day like a quiet repair team restoring an old bridge. Many people believe health requires extreme diets or complex plans, but history shows otherwise. Some of the world's healthiest populations, the Greeks, the Japanese, the Mediterranean elders, all share one trait. They eat naturally, mostly plants and often fruit daily. They don't count calories, they eat color. Their plates look like gardens. Food, at its best, isn't just nutrition, it's information. Every bite carries signals. A burger with processed oil tells your arteries to tighten. A handful of blueberries tells them to open. Over time, your body listens more to what you say most often. Consider this. If you eat 3 meals a day, that's over 1,000 choices each year. Each one either adds to your vitality or subtracts from it. And it's not about perfection, it's about pattern. Consistent small acts that together form a lifelong rhythm of repair. Modern medicine has its place. It's brilliant for emergencies, for trauma, for infections. But it cannot replace what only your diet can do. Drugs may lower blood pressure, but they don't rebuild tissue. They may reduce cholesterol, but they don't cleanse the arteries. Nature, however, works differently. It heals not by force, but by harmony. When you eat whole, vibrant foods, your blood chemistry changes within hours. Inflammation markers drop. Endothelial cells relax. Oxygen levels rise. The change is quiet, but it's real. It doesn't come with side effects, only side benefits. So when we speak of food as medicine, it isn't a metaphor, it's literal. The compounds in fruits interact with your genes, your microbiome, your blood cells. They turn on healing pathways that synthetic pills can only imitate. And what is remarkable is that some of the most powerful of these healing agents are among the simplest fruits you've seen your whole life, maybe even taken for granted. Fruits that cost little, taste good, and yet hold the kind of biochemical power that entire industries are built to replicate. Pomegranate, watermelon, berries, citrus, grapes, apples, kiwi, each one carries a signature, a code that your body instantly recognizes. Together, they form nature's blueprint for repair. In the coming parts, we'll explore these fruits in detail, not just their nutrients, but their stories. How ancient healers revered them, how modern science proved their wisdom, and how your own body responds when you invite them back into your daily life. Because in the end, medicine can correct what's broken. But food, the right food, prevents it from breaking in the first place. And prevention, as any wise physician will tell you, is the oldest and truest form of healing. The room fell into a long, heavy silence. The kind that sits in the corners and watches everyone breathe. Dr. Meyer leaned back, his fingers steepled, the faint ticking of a clock filling the space between them. Thomas was the first to break it. So, what do we do? His voice was low, uncertain. If our world runs on lies, how do we live in it without becoming liars ourselves? Dr. Myers smiled faintly, the kind of smile that carried the weight of too many truths. We begin by choosing which lies we'll no longer need. He stood and walked toward the old wooden bookshelf that lined the far wall. His hand moved along the spines, philosophy, history, psychology, theology, each title a window into a century of human confusion. He pulled one book out, The Human Condition. Arendt once said, he murmured, the moment we no longer have a common world to talk about, we stop being human together. He turned to them. The truth isn't a weapon, Thomas. It's a bridge. And most people, most systems burn it to keep their illusions warm. Sophia nodded slowly. So you're saying the system doesn't want truth, it wants survival. Exactly, he said. And every system, political, corporate, even personal, learns to trade truth for stability. It's how civilizations endure. But endurance, he paused, is not the same as evolution. He walked back to the table and looked at the photographs, the miners, the factory workers, the silent mothers at the bus stop. They built the world believing in promises someone else wrote. And those who wrote them, they called that order. The rain outside had turned soft, almost like a whisper. Sophia's voice broke it. Then maybe it is not about tearing it all down. Maybe it's about teaching people to see the cracks. Dr. Meyer's eyes softened. That's all it ever was. Thomas frowned. But what if they don't want to see them? What if comfort wins? Meyer looked out the window, where the city glowed with the soft pulse of distant billboards. Then history repeats, and the cycle spins again until a generation grows too restless to stay asleep. He turned back. Your task, Thomas, Sophia, isn't to save the world. It's to document its fever, honestly, quietly, without illusion. Let others decide what to do with the diagnosis. Sophia felt something inside her loosen, a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. It wasn't a mission, it was permission to see, to speak, to resist without rage. Thomas leaned back, exhaling. You make it sound almost sacred. Dr. Meyer smiled faintly. It is. Every truth spoken aloud is an act of rebellion against the machinery of forgetting. He gathered his notes, placing them neatly into his worn leather folder. The conversation had ended, but something deeper, something wordless, had begun. Sophia and Thomas stayed behind after he left, staring at the empty chair where the old man had sat. Thomas finally whispered, You think he ever believed what he teaches? Sophia didn't answer right away. She looked at the faint reflection of herself in the window, her eyes tired but alive in a new way. I think, she said quietly, he still does. That's why it hurts. Outside the rain stopped. The city exhaled. And in that fragile stillness, for the first time they understood what Dr. Meyer had really given them. Not certainty, not answers, but the courage to live without them.